Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for Make Your Website Work for You. I am just going to give everyone just a few moments to stream in before we get started. We've got a absolutely wonderful program for you all. So excited to have you all here on our lunch break. My name is Rachel. I would love for you all to introduce yourselves in the chat. We'd love to have a lively chat going. Just tell us a little bit about yourself. Let us know your name, your business, if you're currently in business or if you're pre-venture, what kind of business you're thinking about. It's a great time to, grow your network, shout yourself out a little bit. If you have a website, maybe drop your website link in there. And I am just going to give everyone just a few more moments to come in, but we thank you so much for joining us. Seeing lots of activity in the chat. That's fantastic. Yes, love to see all of your websites. Fantastic. All right, well, it seems like we've got a lot of people coming in, so I am going to get us started. Welcome, my name is Rachel, and I am the Marketing and Communication Specialist here at the Small Business Development Center at Temple University. The SBDC at Temple helps small businesses start, grow, and succeed. We do this through our no-cost consulting and a variety of our no-cost webinars and training programs like the one that you're attending today. You are joining us for Make Your Website Work for You in partnership with Grow with Google. We are recording today's session, so a recording of that session will be sent to all of you within a few days in a follow-up email. All of our attendees have been muted, but we encourage you to post any of your questions in the Q&A. And now I'm going to turn the floor over to our wonderful presenter, Soleil.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so excited to be with you all. I am so glad to see all of the amazing businesses dropped in the chat. Don't be surprised if you notice Soleil Branding Essentials or Soleil Meade starts following you on social or signs up for your newsletter, because we love to continue to connect with our participants. So today, we are going to talk about making your website work for you. This workshop is absolutely brilliant for the person who does not have a website yet, and they want to kind of learn the logistics and the baseline for what I need for a website, but it's also great for those who already have existing websites to put your website through what I like to call an audit, so you can make sure that everything that's needed for your website to work the best for you and your business is flowing. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself and my amazing coach assistant, Vicki. My name is Soleil Meade. I am your Pennsylvania Grow with Google digital coach proudly. I am also the CEO and owner of Soleil Branding Essentials. So I help small businesses like yourself, communities, speakers, nonprofit organizations bring their vision to life. I help them establish their brands, get their brand messaging together, and all of those beautiful visual pieces that help you show up in the right way. Being the coach for Pennsylvania is truly a treat because it enables me to expand that assistance in helping other small businesses bring their vision to life. So I love what I do. And today I am accompanied by the Texas Grow with Google digital coach, Vicki Sepulveda. She is my Google bestie, and we rock out these workshops together, assisting one another, but most importantly, assisting you all to get the information and engagement that you need to ensure that the time you invest today, that you walk away feeling like it was well spent. Vicki, as I said, is the Texas coach, and she is also the owner of Crossing Bridges Consulting. Vicki, she posted, I think it was last week she posted a picture of her whenever she had her doggy treat business. She is a serial entrepreneur. She's full of so many ideas. She also is an international speaker, and she's been with the Digital Coaches Program since its inception. So the reason why you see in the chat all of this contact information for Vicki and I is because we're not afraid for you all to reach out to us. I am actually sending a special invitation to you all today. If there's any questions that you have, if you need to connect with me after the workshop, I want you to send me an email and say in the subject, I want to connect. And then we are going to shoot you a link so we can get you on the schedule for about 15-30 minutes to see what we can assist you with further. This information that we share in the workshop is superb to give you that knowledge, but sometimes you need that one-on-one attention to help you understand how to apply it to your business. So we are here for you. So don't be afraid to reach out. Before I go ahead and jump into the subject for today, I do want to remind you that this space is created for you. Thankfully, you have amazing leaders in Temple SBDC team. They want to see you grow. They create these opportunities to give you a safe space for you to ask your questions, to express your needs, and to connect with like-minded individuals. We are all here to serve you from that lens. So get comfortable. Use the chat. The chat should be live and popping the entire time. So make sure you ask your questions there. I'll pause in between the workshops to respond to them. And make sure you engage with the questions that we'll ask in the chat as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So this statistic that is on the screen right now, more than 70% of surveyed participants reported that their shopping involved online touch points. I mean, we can really, really get deep into this, right? Because we are, a year or so post-COVID, right? Where we literally could not go outside of our home to purchase the things that we need. And if we could, we had to have a mask on. And if we did, we were afraid that we might contract COVID. It was crazy. And it really set the tone for us to see how instrumental your online presence is. Because if people can't walk down the street or drive down the road in their car and see your storefront, then they're not going to know about your business. If you're an online business, that even more so pushes us to that point to make sure that we have a strong online presence. And this statistic proves 70%. That's close to 100. That's close to 100. Almost all people are having some type of online touch point, an ad that pops up on Facebook, your business profile that pops up whenever they're doing a Google search. So online presence is very, very important. So let's start by looking at web design. So when people hear web design, they often think about what they see or how they feel whenever they are looking at a website. But that honestly is just one component. It is an important component, but it is not the only one. I absolutely love teaching this workshop because I am a website developer and designer, and I love to teach people that it's so much more than what your website looks like. There are so many different elements that make things important to your viewer. So here on the slide, you see that you have your header at the top. That is going to kind of be the first thing that your visitor sees. It might have your logo or your tagline in it, but the goal is for you to get their attention whenever they see that. Your colors and your font matter. The content is key. The functionality and how you engage with your clients is also very important. So whether you're building your website from scratch or from a client management system, which we'll talk about that a little bit more, then you definitely want to take note on the principles that we're going to check into today. So let me go ahead and get into the agenda so you know what we're going to be covering within our next hour. So again, website design is not all about the design that you have. We are also going to be checking in to make sure that your website is goal-oriented. Also, is it search friendly? So it's wonderful if it's beautiful, but if I search for, photo services near me on Google, are you coming up in that search? We're going to talk about offers and easy and convenient ways to enhance the customer's experience on your website, making sure that it is easy to use on all devices and then on all websites. So another thing is your navigation. Is it organized? Is it easy to navigate? Do I have to scroll through a ton of pages in order to find what I'm looking for? And then lastly, we're going to talk about trustworthy. If I come to your site, do I feel safe here? Do I feel like my information is being handled with care? Is it secure? Those are all very important factors that we are going to discuss today to help ensure that your website is flowing properly. Before we jump into the first tip, which is it being goal-oriented, I want to know what client management systems do you use for your website? And what do you like most about it? So my favorite client management system is Wix. So that's what I use to build a lot of my own sites and my client sites, but I'm also curious what systems you all use. And Vicki also dropped a question in the chat, and I would love for you all to answer. Do you have a website? So type 1 if you do, 2 if you don't, 3 if you are working on it and it's in progress. So that'll let us know what we are working with. So we have several people that have a website, a couple that don't. I see Wix and MailChimp in here, WordPress. Okay, a work in progress WordPress. Okay, Tabitha, that's awesome. Squarespace in the process. This is wonderful. So make sure you have your questions. Someone's using Google Sites, that's great. Shopify. So you all, through everybody that's on here, you guys are really like utilizing some of the most popular content management systems. So we're going to focus on that foundation that should be present no matter what content management system that you are on. If anyone has any tips for anyone in the chat about the system that they use, please drop it. Again, this is a space for us to grow and learn from one another. So let's go ahead and jump into talking about how important it is to have goals for your website. I talk to so many people and their mindset is, I need to get a website. And one of the questions I often ask is, well, why do you need a website? And they're like, well, because my mentor told me to get one, or, that's just one of the things that all businesses need. And while that is true, that having a website and online presence is definitely something that most, if not all businesses should have, you should be able to respond to a why do you need a website in a way that returns back to the goals that you have connected to your business. And that's what we're going to get into today. So again, when you ask yourself that question, why do I want a website? What are you trying to do? What are your goals? And your site can have all types of goals. And what you see on the screen is an example of some goals that you may set for your website. So I'm very curious if any of you have website goals, you can go ahead and drop them in the chat. Let us know what your goals are. We want to know. So it can be to build your brand. You might want more brand exposure. You might want your new brand to be showcased in the best way possible. So you want the website to accompany with that. You can use your website to generate leads. That's where you may go and get your new clients from. You also might want a website to make sales. So you have an e-commerce site so you can sell your products or your services on your website. You also may want to use your website to re-engage customers. So I think we'll talk about this in this workshop. If not this one, it'll probably be the next one, because everything this month with our Temple SBDC webinars are focused on websites. Website, that tongue tied me for a minute. So you want to make sure that if you have a website or if you're developing one, tune into all of the workshops that we have open for you to register for this month, because they'll all help you develop your website. So if you want to re-engage customers, say if someone put something in their cart, but they abandon it, then your website is going to help you to automatically re-engage them, to offer them a coupon to complete their purchase. You might use your website to attract employees. All of us as small business owners want to get to the place where we have a team that's helping us grow and run our business. So you can have your job application or your open job positions on your website. So number one, you can get those potential employees into interview, but also you're showcasing to them the quality and the standard of your brand through your site. And lastly is to provide support. So if you are selling an amazing product and people have questions about it, then you can have an FAQ section on that product on your website that helps provide support to people, or the text or messaging built into your website so people can ask questions right through there. Those are some of the reasons, just to help you think through that. I'm looking in the chat and it looks like we have a whole lot of goals. A lot of people want to generate leads, to make sales, to build their brand, to sell their products, to increase website traffic. That's a great one. So our second point about being found online would be great for you. So let's go ahead and move on and talk a little bit more about how to create these goals. One of the first things that you want to do, because I love to tell my clients this all the time, your website isn't so much for you as it is for your audience or your potential customers. You are building something that you want someone to come into and say, oh my goodness, they hear me, they understand me. Why are they speaking to the very gripes that I have in my life about, not finding reliable products and services that are all natural and all vegan? They are speaking my language. Oh my goodness, they have this product and that product, and I've been looking for this, but I couldn't find it. You are building your website so it can be the solution to your audience. So the reason why we are going to touch on knowing who your audience is because it's so important, because your goals should really be wrapped around your audience and how you're serving them. So what you want to do is think about like who your target audience is. Who is your target audience, and what do they do for a living? What is their career, and why is that their career? How do they feel on a typical workday? What are some of the problems that your audience is facing? If they had more free time, what would they do? What would they say your product does for them? So what we are encouraging you to do is sit in the seat of who your audience is and think about what they need. You want to go ahead and tap into developing a goal that creates a customer persona and responds to your customer persona. Does your product or your brand target a specific age range? Is it a specific area, a geographic location? Is it an educational level that matters? You really just want to hone in on that so you can create goals around that. So Vicky dropped something in the chat that could be very helpful for you all. And those are just some questions that you can ask yourself about your audience to help you get to know them more. So let's move on. Let's talk about SMART goals. If you are familiar with SMART goals, can you drop an exclamation point in the chat? Let me know. So SMART goals, most people have heard about them before, and it's a really powerful way for you to address your website goals. So you want to start out with the S. The S is for specific. You want to make sure that the goal that you set is specific and detailed. So for instance, I'm going to use our friend Jennifer, who has a doula business, and she is saying that one of her goals is to explain what I do and then what I don't do, as well as answer basic questions about doulas. So she is being detailed. She's being specific. I want to answer questions about doulas. She can take it even deeper by explaining some of those questions that she gets, or explaining what she does and she doesn't do. And then when you go to do that, Jennifer, then you are starting to build content, not only goals, but content for your website, because now you are able to copy and paste that information that you elaborated on and include it in your website, because you know people need to know this information. So the M is measure. So how will you measure it? How will you be able to tell its impact? You want to make sure that you choose a goal that you're able to measure it. For instance, a lot of people said they wanted to generate more leads. So then you would be putting a lead capture on your website, maybe capturing email addresses. But before you would do that, you would go ahead and look at your current website to see how many leads or how many contacts do you have now? Okay, well, I have 200 contacts now, and then I'm going to run this goal to the end of the summer. And then on August 31st, which is not the end of the summer, but let's pretend it is, August 31st, you're going to look and you're going to say, wow, now I have 450 contacts, meaning that in these last couple of months, you've been able to generate an additional about 250 contacts based off of where you started. That is important. How will you measure it? And know that before you set the goal. The A is for attainable. Is it realistic? So let's take the same situation we were dealing with. If your goal was to have 5K leads captured by the end of the summer, and it's already, I think it's June 14th. Yeah, it's June 14th, then that might not be attainable, especially if you don't have any vending shows set up, if you don't have any interviews or podcasts set up to help you boost your exposure, it may not be attainable. So you want to set a goal that you can actually reach. The R is for relevant. So is it relevant to your business? If that goal is for you to capture leads, that's wonderful. But so many people capture leads on their website, but never do anything with it. How do you want to engage the people that you capture? Is it relevant, or is it just a goal that you're checking off? You want to make sure that it makes sense with your business. I want all these lead captures because the last quarter of the year, I want to have a huge networking event where I showcase a new product, and I want to invite all these people. That is ensuring that action you're taking is relevant to how you're going to grow your business. And then lastly, time bound. One of the worst things that we can do with our website or with any goal we set is to not give ourselves a time frame. I am being hounded by my personal business coach because we set a time frame for me to have a book that I'm writing completed, and I keep asking for a little bit more time. But I will tell you that having this time frame, it makes me more intentional to set up time to get closer to my goal. So you want to make sure that you set a time frame to achieve that goal. So I hope you all feel a little bit more empowered to kind of really get in there with your goal and make sure that you're setting a solid one for your website. So we talked about this a little bit in the last slide, but I want to dig in a little bit deeper when we talk about measuring success, because that's a really important one. We talked about lead captures and how you're able to go into your analytics, but here are some other ways that you can measure success. So you can track your sales the same way. You want to make sure you write down where you are right now. And then whatever your time frame is that you set, you want to be able to monitor that. So tracking your sales, collecting form submissions on your website, you'll be able to look at how many forms that you had completed on your site. Monitoring phone calls is another one. So you can also look at the number of calls that you have come in, which is based off of that call to action. You're telling people call for a quote or call to hear more about our services, and also your engagement. One of the most powerful ways for you to measure these things that we're talking about is analytics. So your e-commerce site or your website that you already have probably has some analytics built into it. So when you're looking to measure, you want to make sure that you're paying attention to these analytics. You also can use a software like Google Analytics, which is absolutely free, and it's an amazing tool that honestly can work with the analytics your website provides and provide an even deeper level of understanding of your visitors and their behaviors on your site. So this is a little bit more about analytics. You can learn what search terms, you can learn what people are typing into Google in order to find you. You can see the demographic information. This information is pivotal because if you notice that you're located in Philadelphia, but you're noticing that there's a ton of people in the Pittsburgh area that are on your website and looking at a particular product that you offer, then maybe you run a special, or maybe you collaborate with another Pittsburgh business to kind of hone in on that information you learn from your analytics. These are just some of the tips and tools that analytics will provide for you. You can go to g.co/analytics to set it up for free, and you follow the instructions from there, and then you will add a tracking code from your analytics account and add it to your website. If it gets too confusing to you, you can always reach out to your website developer. They should be able to help you. You can always reach out to Vicky and I as well. We may be able to assist you with that too. So there are some different versions that have come out with analytics. So we have switched over to GA4, and that is the primary solution. So if you had it set up once upon a time, it will walk you through step by step to come over to the new one. And this is what this slide is showing as well. But again, if you need assistance with that, you can reach out to us. And I'm just going to scroll through these different types of reports that can help you to gain greater insight for your website. So you can get real-time reports as far as like what's happening right now. Say that you're live on a podcast and you tell people to go to your website and sign up for your newsletter, then you can have a real-time report running to show you if people are actually taking action whenever you're stating that. You can look at conversions, acquisitions, where people come from, as well as their behaviors. So this is an example of a real-time report, and it will again tell you what's happening right now. It'll tell you more about the demographics, and this is like a snapshot of what everything looks like laid out on the Google Analytics screen. So it's giving you a little bit of everything. The life cycle, meaning where are your customers coming from or your visitors coming from in this acquisition? Where are they engaging at the most? Monetization, are they purchasing things? And then are they coming back? So Google Analytics will tell you all of that. So there's also another tool called Google Optimize. And Optimize is a tool that is going to help you review your analytics. It works with your analytics and it works with your website to see whether or not everything is running like up to speed, or if there are other ways that you can make adjustments to your site in order for you to come across better to your visitors. So it lets you test out different changes that you may make on your site. So we covered a lot about goals and about analytics. So if anyone has any questions, you can drop it in the chat now. JJ, I see your question. Is this for G4 setup? GA4? Yes. So you would absolutely want to make sure, if you have a current analytics site, JJ, you want to make sure that your analytics account is set up on GA4. If you, like I said, if you need any assistance, you can reach out. We'll help to the best of our ability. But there's a wizard to get you from the old setup to the GA4 setup, and if you follow it step by step, you'll be good. It does retain some of your information, a lot of your information, so you're not going to lose the old information that you have. But what will happen is when it's transferring over, you may like miss a couple of hours whenever it's transferring over to the new account. Okay. So Mindy is asking if you have a Google business account, can you speak to someone on the phone? That's a good question. I do know that Google really tries to do a good job at answering a lot of their questions through different articles and forums where people are having similar issues. But a lot of times, if you scroll to the bottom of like a forum or an article that you find, you'll see some tools that'll say, do you still need help or do you still need assistance? It may not give you a phone number of someone to call, but it might give you access to an email where you can get to someone. And I do know in some cases, and I can't expound on it right now as far as for each product, but I do know some products absolutely have a line where you can speak to someone. Vicki, do you have some insight on that?
Yes, I would just make sure there are opportunities to actually speak to someone. So you may have to reach out online, like via form, and they'll get back to you. But the one thing I would make sure is that you are speaking to someone with an email that's like at google.com, because there are consultants out there. And if you're kind of Googling like Google Business Profile help, you just want to make sure that you're speaking to an actual employee from Google. But there has been communication if you're having a certain problem with your profile.
Thanks, Vicki. All right, so if you have any other questions, you can drop them in the chat, but I'm going to go ahead and hop into our next one. This is a fun one. So this is covering SEO. SEO is search engine optimization. So this in turn is what and if your website is search friendly for your visitors. And SEO optimization and having that on your site ensures that you are search friendly. So this statistic shows 100% increase for searches that include the words now, near me. So what that is saying is people are looking for something immediately near them. So whenever you are creating your keywords, whenever you are thinking about the language and the messaging that you put on your website, these are important. It's important for you to put the areas that you serve and where you're located at, because people are searching for that. So let's go ahead and get a little deeper into this. So I want to make sure that you understand how to make your site more search friendly. So what we're looking at here is the search page, and it's probably familiar to you. Why? Because I mean, how many of you all have done a Google search today? Like drop an exclamation point in the chat if you did a Google search today. Most of us have done at least, I mean, I do several in a day, right? So it's familiar to us because we see it, right? But at the top, you see your word, your phrase, or your question that the searcher has typed in, and that's what we call a search query. Okay, so then below the search query, now you see the results. So after the search query was entered and you hit enter or tap the go button, then you're going to see the results below. So let's break down the results below. So this example is showing you a text ad at the top. So in your search results, that's the first thing that you see is a text ad at the top. And then underneath that ad shows your organic results. So the text ad is a paid ad by someone who wants to show up for whatever was typed in the search bar. Everything underneath that is organic and natural. That means that this website that is showing up has words and associations based off of what was typed into that search query. So the organic results include sites that in Google's algorithm have identified as relevant and useful matches to that search. So when we talk about making your website search friendly, that's why it's so important. We want you to pop up in organic results, but in order for you to pop up, you have to be intentional about setting up the language on your website. In the back end of your website, when you're setting up your header and your meta tags and things like that, which you might be like, what is a meta tag? Your website developer should know. Someone who specializes in SEO would know how to get that set up for you. So we are going to also look at on this page on the right side, you see the Google business profile, and those are available for local businesses with storefronts or service areas. So you definitely want to make sure you have a Google business profile, because again, if the language and messaging in your business profile associates with what someone is searching, then you have the possibility of showing up. So let's look at the characteristics of a friendly website. So one key thing is fast loading time. I mean, how many of you have skipped a site because it took forever to load? Like, we are used to things happening quick. We scroll our Instagram and Facebook feeds quick, and we are not waiting 2 or 3 minutes for a site to load. Literally, the average a site should load is like probably 30 seconds. And even if that, you would be struggling a little bit, because we're honestly looking for it to come even quicker than that. If your load time is a minute or more, then you need to improve your speed. And there are some different tools that you can check out that will help you look at that. The content is also important as well. You know, you don't want to have just any type of content on your website or what you think is relevant for, a lot of times we put what we think is relevant about our business. But again, your content is supposed to be speaking to the audience that you produced earlier, and the content should be rich. It should help them understand. It should help them want to learn and know more, and ultimately engage and purchase in your service. And then you also want to make sure that when you're looking at a search-friendly site, that you have text links that connect the content on your webpage. So the text links may link to keywords, it may link to relevant pages on your site, but you want to make sure those are operable and working. Here are some more characteristics: page titles and descriptions. Page title and descriptions are super important. That's a lot of times what they call like tagging, like meta tagging, and your headers help, because those help to tell the SEO kind of crawler to pick up that information and put it in front of visitors. So if you write a page title and a description about your products page, then you are capturing what someone might see when they're looking for a product that might be offered or similar to what's on your page. So when you write these descriptions, you want to include your keywords. I believe Vicky dropped it in the chat, and we want to know, like, how many of you have SEO and a keyword list for your website? So if you do, type 1 for yes, type 2 for no, or 3 if you're going to start. We want to know if you have keywords and SEO. Awesome. So some of you have them, some of you are working on it. Hopefully this information will definitely be helpful. The keyword should be infused in your descriptions and your page title, and also the content that is in your website. The next thing is information architecture. This is the organized site design. So what happens is, imagine you had a page, a website, and you had 30 pages on your website, and you're like, why would you have 30 pages? Well, because you have drop downs for the different products and services, and there's all of these things going on, and it's creating a lot of pages. If that is the case, whenever you look at information architecture and the kind of the flow that it would look like, it would be overwhelming. And I'll show you in just a few moments what that information architecture could look like. All of that to say, you want yours to be clean. If you have, typically a website has no more than like 5 or 6 pages. They may have sub pages, but it can be very advantageous for you to just ensure that the one page is very clear and clean information about different programs or about different products or services, so that you're not creating a ton of pages, because that can be overwhelming to your visitor if they can't easily follow and navigate where you are and what they're looking for. And lastly, you want to make sure that your website can be found on all browsers and on all devices. So one of the things that people kind of mess up on is we use our favorite browser. Some of us might use Chrome, some of us might use Firefox, but then we fail to test what our website looks like on Safari or on, I think it's Edge. I just downloaded all of the main browsers on my phone so I can look at what my clients' websites look like from the mobile view. And it differs a lot. And that's important, because if words are cut off on your Safari view in the mobile version, then someone's not going to take the time and look at your site. So we want to make sure all of that is in sync. So I want to introduce you to a tool that we have called Google Search Console. And it's a free tool that helps you improve your site's performance in Google search results. It used to be called Webmaster Tools, if you may remember and have been associated with this for a while. But you don't have to sign up for Search Console to be included in Google search results. That's naturally going to happen if you have a website. But what this tool does is it's really going to help you to dig into how Google is seeing your site. And then it's going to give you some tips on how Google can, or you can improve your site so it is better seen through Google. So it will let you know like how Google is crawling your site, and crawling means how it's going through each page and accessing it. It will help you to fix indexing problems, where like if it will really, indexing is like pages that are included in Google's index, because you have to think of the World Wide Web as like a big library where things are put in certain places. So they're going to make sure everything is in the right place and tell you if something needs to be new, like made new or updated. It's also going to show you the traffic that's coming into your site and things of that nature. So it's a really helpful tool. You can sign up for Search Console by visiting g.co/Search Console. You'll have to add your website property to your account, and then it'll make you verify your ownership. And then once you do that, then now it's going to start to collect information and give you even more insight on how your site is being searched and found through Google. So it's a really, really great tool. And I am curious, I don't know if Vicki posted it in the chat yet or not, but how many of you actually use Google Search Console? Give me a 1 for yes, 2 for no, or 3 if you're going to start. So I see more no's right now. So give me a 3 if you're going to start. It's a really helpful tool, especially I know there was someone who had a goal of making sure that they were tracking their website traffic and showing up in search results. So you definitely want to make sure you add that. Let me go ahead and move into our next topic. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and drop them in the chat, but let's talk about the convenience of a website. This is really focusing in on the visitor's experience. So here, we talked a little bit more about the pandemic and the onset of it. More than a quarter of online shoppers are using their mobile devices, as high as 44% for groceries. So people are using their mobile devices. So we bring this up because it's really important that we create this level of convenience, online convenience for our customers. So we want to make sure that it is easy to navigate our site, but most importantly, that it's responsive. You know, when you design your site, it looks one way on your laptop or your desktop, but you have to redesign it for it to look a complete different way on your mobile device. You want to make sure you do that. You want to make sure it's easy for someone to make a payment, that you offer various payment methods and options, and even give them personalized recommendations based off of the information that you're pulling down from the site. If you have a storefront, then you might want to offer curbside pickup. delivery services and shipping, maybe even virtual consultations if you are a service-based business. Even if you have a storefront, those virtual consultations can speak to how we said earlier, you know, the pandemic has made some of us comfortable with being in a virtual space. I'm going to touch on each of these just so we can go into a little bit more detail. So I want to know if any of you all have left the site because it was not loading or showed up crazy on your phone. We said this already, put an exclamation point in the chat if that's you. So I always use the example of I love to eat and I want Jamaican food and this restaurant pops up. I see its business profile, the reviews are great. I tap on the website so I can see the menu more because I prefer how a menu looks on someone's website. And then I feel like I'm sitting forever and ever, and all I see is the loading symbol. So I leave. So we don't want that to happen to you all. So here are some tips on making sure that your design is responsive. You want to make sure that your website is just as powerful on a desktop version as it would be on a mobile version. You want to make sure that your website is easy to navigate. People should not have to run around and search for your menu so they could see what pages you have on your website. You want to make sure your website has call to actions, so it's very clear what you want them to do. You want to make sure it loads quickly. And whenever you are uploading pictures onto your site, you want to make sure you upload web resolution pictures. Whenever you upload web resolution pictures, then it keeps the quality of that picture, but the size of it is down. So you want to use like graphics like JPEGs or PNGs or GIFs, but you want to make sure the smaller the size, the quicker that they will load. So then another thing to think about, sometimes we have this vibrant and comprehensive vision of how our website will function, but sometimes the functionalities, maybe it's a video in the background or things looping around, that might cause the site to load slower. So you might want to look at like a clean, minimalist design that makes it just easier for your site to load and for people to navigate. I want you all to do a brief activity for me. If you have your phone handy, pick up your phone, go to your favorite browser and type in your website address and go to your website and come back to the chat and let us know what it's looking like from your mobile view. And if you like it, then tell us you love it and you're relieved. If you don't like it, let me know what you want to change. Okay, we gotta love it. Yes, Janine, I'm so glad you love it. So I'm going to move to the next slide. Yes, all the love it. I'm so glad y'all sites are mobile responsive. That's wonderful. So my second challenge is to have this same exercise on a different website platform. For instance, if you went to your favorite, which is Chrome, go to Safari, go to Firefox, and go to Edge and see if it looks the same on all your different browsers. That's important. So the next is payment made simple. So we want to make it easy for people to buy whatever you have available on your website. So you want to reduce the checkout steps. One of the biggest problems is sometimes people want someone to set up an account, and that doesn't work for people. They're trying to check out as a guest. So, give people the option to do that. Offer the guest checkout and enable digital wallet so people can easily make their choices of how they want to pay. This is another very important feature that can help with your website. So if you are selling something and once you sell it, then now it pops up and it tells you some other things that they may like. So what we're encouraging you to do is to make recommendations based off of the history on your website, based off of the most popular purchases or things that complement what a visitor is looking at. So there are different tools that you can add into your site that will automatically do that for you. And we also talked about curbside pickup, which is helpful to blend their digital and your physical experiences together. We talked about offering fast and flexible delivery and shipping options. Like if I want to pick up, or if I want delivery at a certain place, or if I want the option to have it delivered or shipped quicker, then give me those options. You want to give your customers options that work for them and also work for you. And then virtual consultations are important as well, because it gives you that connection. So this is a tool, g.co/mobile friendly. You can go here to test out your mobile site. You guys already like did your test, and I loved all the results that we got. But if you want to look even deeper, then go ahead and check out this link. Vicki already dropped it in the chat. Type in your website and test out its mobile strength. So the test is going to tell you if your page is usable on mobile. It's also going to show you how it appears, and then it's going to give you some resources like Search Console and other reports that's going to help you make better changes to your site. One of the things I love about Google products is they always offer you suggestions to help make your site better. So this is a bonus tip. You can check this Chrome inspector out so you can test like the compatibility with all your tools. This is definitely like a coding type techie tool, but if you go ahead and pull up your website and you right click on the web page, you click inspect, and then it's going to pull your page to the left side of the screen, and it's going to show you all this code. Now in the top corner, you will see the icon that is usually used to show like a tablet and a phone. And then if you click that, it's going to show you what your view looks like from the mobile display. Pretty techy, but definitely can be done. I think that the mobile friendly search tool works well as you searching on your own to see what it looks like. So if you have any questions, go ahead and drop it in the chat. I have, I believe, one more section to cover, and I want to make sure I get through this. So I'm going to go ahead and go through this section, but if you have questions, drop them in the chat. If I don't get to your question, I am going to drop my email, and I would really encourage you to reach out to me so I can answer any questions that we're unable to cover during our time here today. So our last tip is making sure that your website is organized. So we talked a little bit about information architecture a couple of slides back, but we're going to talk about that a little bit more. It's so important to, number one, make sure that people have a good visit to your website, a good experience, able to navigate around, but also is going to make sure that you are your website is being crawled properly as well too. Vicki asked a really great question in the chat. I want to know what you all think. How would you feel if your website worked for you so well that it felt like the support of an employee? If that's you, drop an exclamation point in the chat. I love that. This is my favorite part. Organization is whenever you're thinking more from a strategy perspective and the functionality of your website. And that is my personal niche whenever it comes to websites, is I want to make sure that someone's website is functional, that you're using it to a point where it feels like you have support. And it's not just something that showcases what you do, but it supports what you do. And that's what your website should do. So we talked about information architecture, that's IA. So before, when I talked about it, hopefully it made sense, because we talked about how it's like the structure of your site. If you have 30 something pages, then can you imagine what this slide would look like with 30 or so pages? But now you see the simplicity of having order and having structure of the information that you want to showcase on your site. So Trade Street Jam is the example that we've been using throughout this workshop. So at the top, we have their homepage, but then you see they kept it simple. They have four pages: your homepage, your team, shop, and contact. They're keeping it super simple. But off the shop page, they have a products page, and that products page probably showcases all of the products. But then when you break down more, they have their jam, their hot sauce, and their gift cards page. Each of those being separate pages that focus on the information that's in that main box. This is what we talk about when we say make your website organized. You should be able to look at it in this type of structure and be able to see what information is being shared, and it should make sense and it should have a flow. When you look at it from this plan, then you're able to honestly see what's missing. You know, if there is something missing from the page, some important feature that you offer, you might want to create a page for that. I see Vicky asked something in the chat, and I love it because I see your responses. How many of you have an IA plan for your website? 1 for yes, 2 for no, 3 for no, but I'm going to create one. I see a mixture of 1, 2s, and 3s. So I definitely would encourage you to try to create one of these for your site. Here's some more tips on organizing your website. You want to list the pages of your website somewhere. So when you list the pages, first of all, you want to list it on your end before you even go to build your website. If you already have a website, go to your website, start from the top and begin to list out your pages one by one, create a document. You're essentially looking at your IA plan. You want to give each page on the list a clear call to action. So if the page is our team, then what is the call to action? Is it to join our team or email our founder? You know, what's the call to action to it? A good call to action is going to tell that visitor what you want them to do, right? So another thing that you want to do is you want to use visual elements that highlight your information. So again, let's use the Meet Your Team page. If you're using Meet Your Team, most of the people, when they see that, they don't want to see stock photos. They want to see the actual team that you have. So you want to go ahead and put pictures of your team up there. If you don't have pictures, then just remove photos overall. Maybe you have a team picture of an event that you all did together, put that up there. So you want to make sure that the visual elements are relevant and relatable to the call to action and to the information that is on the page. And optimize navigation. A couple of ways that navigation can be optimized is we talked about making sure that you have your menu button to where someone can always like access your menu, but also there's usually like a scroll to the top bar. That's a great way to optimize your navigation. If someone has spent time to scroll to the bottom of your site, if they want to go back to the top, they can do it at a click of a button. So this here is showing as your business begins to grow and expand, how you would build on your IA plan. So how do you get more content ideas? Again, like in the beginning, they just had sub pages under products. But now, what does that page under your team says? Under the contact, what does that say? Maybe they're adding a piece of information to talk about organic supply or something along those lines. So you want to always keep in mind how you can make your products better. This is a tool that can help you with that. It's Google Trends. You can visit g.co/trends to access Google Trends. And I also like a tool called Answer the Public. And what both of these tools do is if you put in your industry or a word that is relatable to your business, it's going to pull up trending information. Google Trends is going to tell you what areas in the world or in the states are searching for this term. It's going to give you related terms to it. It really can help you to generate that new content that you may be looking for. I want you to think about your business and think about what content will be useful to your customers, what content is going to be beneficial to adjust or create or promote new sales and engagement, and answer those questions. Go ahead and write that down. And that is going to help you make sure that you stay on track. I'm going to breeze through these slides just because I know we're coming to a close, but this is showing you a little bit more of what Google Trends does. So you can research those keywords. They'll show you over different time frames or regions. It's going to show you trends for just like as if you were on Google, images, shopping, news, YouTube videos, so on and so forth. And then as far as your error pages, you want to make sure that you create a custom error page. So just in case something happens with your website, it's redirecting them back to somewhere else. And I thought that was our last tip, but we have one more, and that is to make sure that your website is trustworthy. This goes and speaks into the security of your website. So one of the key things you want to do is make sure that you have an SSL certificate. That is what happens if you see your website is HTTPS, that S means secure. If you don't have that on your website, then it might have a pop-up to say this site is not secure. Please proceed with caution. You don't want that to happen. That might cause some people not to come to your site. And then also making secure payments. Vicki asked a question in the chat, how many of you take payments from your website or collect information? And mostly everyone said yes. So let's look at some tips that help to make sure that our reputation is solid with our website. So number one is business reviews. You wouldn't think this would be mentioned here, but this builds your credibility. Make sure you ask for reviews from your customers. Make sure you share your business profile link so you can get reviews there. Make sure you ask for them whenever you're completing a process, as well as put them on your website. The best reviews that you have, you go ahead, sometimes you can put a feed on your website that'll feed in your Google reviews onto your website page, but you want to make them visible. That's going to make visitors feel more secure. You want to show your ratings. So with your different products and services, allow customers to rate it. So then that way that will help other people know and see the credibility of that product. And then you also want to have contact information. I remember just a couple of months ago, I was looking to purchase a flight because I'm taking an international trip, multiple countries. And I wanted to go with this particular airline. And they did not have contact information on there. And I was like, I cannot do this in good faith. So that is so very important for you to have contact information available that works for you and your customers so they feel secure. So I'm going to give some next steps and resources, but before I do so, I do want to remind you all that Rachel has dropped in the link for the Temple SBDC survey to be completed. They do phenomenal work in providing workshops like mine and so many others to you all. So please take a moment and click on that link and fill out that survey for them. Vicki's asking some important questions that I want to know, like, are you going to use some of these tips to help make your website more functional and reputable? Give me a 1 for yes, a 2 for no. I hope I don't see any no's. But also let me know what your takeaway was for today. What really stood out to you? What do you feel excited about implementing into your business? And Vicki's also, she actually just dropped it. If you look at her last comment, there is a link to the one-pager, and you could go ahead and click on that, and it gives you a recap of everything we covered today. And I believe we are a couple minutes over. So Vicki will drop my survey link in there. I'm going to stop and take it over to Rachel. I'll also come in and drop my email address. I'm encouraging all of you to email me if you need a more in-depth explanation of something, or if you have a question that I wasn't able to get to today.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us. Like Soleil said, I submitted that survey in the chat. I'll also make sure that you all get it in your follow-up email. You'll also receive a recording of today's webinar, just so that you can keep taking all of this in. We really appreciate all of you taking your time, spending your lunch break with us today. If you're looking to learn more things, Soleil will actually be back with us next week for selling online with e-commerce tools. So she's fantastic. We'll hope to see you guys there as well. Again, I appreciate you all for your time, and I want to say a special thank you to our presenters, Soleil, and to Vicki, who has been providing great links to you all in the chat. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'm not going to take up any more of your time. We hope to see you all again soon. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.